first week that I was president and moved into the president's office, I was opening some of the cupboards. And I found a magazine, our union's magazine from 1967. And I.W. Abel, who was our president then, had an article in that magazine warning the nation of the perils of unfair trade and what it was doing to undermine our basic industries.
Part of the problem we have is that 50 years ago, as Engine Charlie Wilson said of General Motors, what's good for GM was good for America. That's no longer true. What's good for GM is good for GM. It's not necessarily good for America.
It's benefiting the corporate bottom line. And the corporate bottom line is now serving the entire global economy. It's not serving the U.S. economy. It's not serving U.S. communities. It's not serving U.S. workers. It's a slave to the global economy. It's a slave to the maximum profit that you can take.
One of the many faults with the global economic system is it's fueled by corporate greed. And it doesn't matter whether you're working in Mexico getting $2.50 or $3 an hour. The multinational auto parts company or the multinational mining company or the multinational forestry company would want you to work for less. The global economic system that's been created by the Wall Street financiers and the multinational corporations isn't operating on behalf of workers anywhere in the world.
And I think that enforcement of fair trade laws, ending unfair currency manipulation by China and other Asian countries are the key to recovery in manufacturing.
Our union has been leading this fight now for close to 55 years. I'm saddened that we've let the myth of this so-called free trade destroy the industrial base of the United States, Canada, and Great Britain.
We're very much opposed to a free trade agreement as it's currently discussed. And all of this means that a great many production facilities will probably move to Mexico. A great many more jobs will be destroyed in America. It's not a good idea for American workers. It's not a good idea for Mexican workers.
We don't need another NAFTA. We don't need another trade agreement that goes through on fast track. And we're here today. We're here today to tell Congress. We're here today to tell Newt Gingrich. We're here today to tell President Clinton. We don't need another NAFTA.
This globalized world we're in is serious business, and they intend to take the jobs that they can and move them, and they invest a lot of money in it, and other countries hire a lot of law firms in this city to make that fight for them. So here we stand every day fighting over jobs that really have kept people and their families sustained in the U.S.
When we see the impact of trade on the U.S. economy, there's a corresponding impact on the Canadian economy. And the devastation that occurs in the U.S. occurs simultaneously in Canada. So every time we take on a trade case, every time we take on a fight, I believe we're fighting for both economies.
Canada went from having a surplus in trade because it's got a resource-based economy, so even now with the oil and the minerals and the forestry, Canada has a trade deficit with China.
Because China and other countries like it in Asia are using a wide range of unfair trade practices, it's really important for the United States to be defending our fair trade laws. We have laws on the books that would ban these kinds of practices and that would penalize countries like China. Unfortunately, in the last 10 or 15 years, U.S. companies have stopped filing complaints about those unfair practices. They're all invested in China. They get the subsidies.
If we hadn't filed the 421 trade case, these trade cases wouldn't be filed. Kind of the poster child for the 421 case was Cooper Tire. Cooper Tire was not too keen about the steelworkers filing a trade case. They publicly opposed it because they could make more money importing tires from China.
From 2004 to 2008, the tire industry lost about 7,000 jobs in the United States. Those jobs went to China. September 11th of 2009, President Obama had the courage to sign Section 24, which is a trade remedy that put tariffs on tires. The day he signed that was the day they called me into my plant manager's office and announced that we were going to put $20 million of investments and new machinery in our plant, and also hire 150 union employees.
We've saved 56,000 jobs of our members over the last several years as a result of winning these trade cases. Those are 56,000 steelworker direct employment jobs. When you keep in mind that in manufacturing, it's anywhere from 4 to 6 additional jobs that are supported by a manufacturing job. So if you think that we save 56,000 direct steelworker jobs, multiply that by 4 or 5 times, you're talking about over 250,000 jobs that we've saved.
The Obama administration was the first ever to do one thing nobody else had. We stood up to China and said, that's enough. And we imposed a tariff on their tires coming in here. What we're most proud of, I think, in this administration, what it has really credentialed us from others, we are much more aggressive about enforcing our rights and the rights of our workers than I think previous administrations.
A lot of our new employees are coming from plants that were shut down, and they're getting a second chance, and that's what's so amazing, that they've been out of work, and it's like hitting a lottery for them, coming here to Cooper Tire and getting paid these good wages and being able to provide for their families and getting a second chance.
In April 2009, lost my job. I worked at Cypress Technologies in Kenton. My unemployment was out, my bills was piling up, I was going to lose a truck and everything else that I worked for 18 years. Yeah, when you go from $800 a week clear money to $300, then yeah, you cut back a lot. March of this year, I applied for Cooper Tire, and then they hired me. I was glad I got this job, and hopefully I can stay here. I'm making about $1 more an hour than what I was before.
My job at Cooper has meant stability and a good way of life for my son and I. I take time to be active in the union because it's my way of giving back to the steelworkers. If it wasn't for the union, I strongly believe I wouldn't have the good wages that I have and be able to maintain the quality of life that we've had.
I can say this, if anybody does not believe that their union dues goes for a good cause, let them come here to Findlay, Ohio. Let them come and walk through our parking lot and see the people coming into work that's getting good union wages and benefits, and taking that money that they're making and spending it in the local economies, and in return our communities prospering because of that. If there's any disbelief at all, let them come here to Findlay, Ohio, because this is the way it should be done.
The cases that we do here don't just touch on steel products. We've recently concluded one on aluminum extrusions, we've done them on uranium, we've done them on paper, we're looking at cases on glass. So as our union is diverse, so is our interest in our battles here on trade, and they touch every one of our major sectors.
If our union didn't get aggressive about pursuing trade cases, there wouldn't be a significant coated paper industry in the United States right now. It'd be gone, and gone with it would be all of the high-paying manufacturing jobs that went along with that industry, and all of the jobs downstream as well. We literally saved tens of thousands of jobs by proactively engaging in trade cases in the paper sector.
There are a number of major cases we've taken on that frankly American business was reluctant to take a lead because they're invested, whether it's in China or Japan, and in many cases it's the steel workers, the AFL-CIO, that have done the research, found the abusive behavior, whether it's China or other countries, and brought it to our attention.
The steelworkers have always been a fighting union. We don't ever stop. As I said, we're a small office, but you'd never know it from what you hear on Capitol Hill.
I think the steelworkers are really at the cutting edge of American industry and the American labor movement in terms of enforcing fair trade laws. Their work is essential to helping the U.S. manufacturing recover.
Thousands of workers stayed at work or remained at work because of the tariffs we've been able to put in place. So the work we do here is very tangible. It hangs on to our markets, and it hangs on to our businesses, and it's a real role for the union.
So the global economic system is perverted. The global economic system is working in reverse, and it's going to take workers of the world standing up and fighting back. It's going to take unions like ours to lead the way, and we're not going to step back from the fight. We're going to step into it.